Good morning, Stampin' Friends. It's Pat Fairless. I'm here with Learning with Friends today with a technique called glowing lights. Um, it's a fairly simple technique, and I'm going to show you how to do it and give you some tips, and we'll see if you like it, okay? So let's go ahead and turn my camera down and get started right away. Okay, it looks like I got the right camera clued in here. So I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you the card that I'm going to make, okay? And this is the card. I've been playing with the Regal Reindeer stamp set bundle all week, and so I used it also for this glowing technique to see how it would work. And I'll be honest with you. So here's a copy of here's the stamp set. And what I really intended was to try to use these 3 trees. Now, there is a die that matches these 3 trees, but you stamp them first. And I didn't have a lot of luck with it. I'll show you after what I mean. What I found, this is my first tip, is that this technique, for me anyway, seemed to work best when I used just kind of a silhouette die of some sort without stamping. The stamping did not seem to show up very well. The reason being is this requires that you use dark colored cardstock. Probably the darker the color, the better. So black, I'm going to make one of these little trees out of, this is Blackberry Bliss, which is also very dark. You could probably use like a Night of Navy, dark greens, any color. It just needs to be a dark color to seem to work well. And when I did that, I'm going to show you, so I'll show you my failure first. This was the 3 trees. And it looks kind of funky because you cannot really see, no matter how close or how far away I put this. This is Mossy Meadow cardstock, and I stamped it with Mossy Meadow ink. Now, I can see it, I can see the stamping, but it doesn't really show up all that well because the cardstock is so dark. So when you go to add your glowing lights, all you really see is the glowing lights, and you don't really see the stamped images very well behind it. So that's why I found if I had a tree that was a single tree and it's just a die cut, I felt like it showed better. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do this on this Blackberry Bliss cardstock. This one is Mossy Meadow, but today I'm going to also try to use Old Out. It's a little bit lighter. Not exactly sure how it will work, but I'm going to experiment with you guys. So let's go ahead. I know the Blackberry Bliss will work. What you need for this stamp set is a white gel pen. Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell these, but you can get them at any hobby kind of store, craft store. So you need a white gel pen, you need some dark cardstock, and you need soft pastels. And I have these particular pastels. These are soft pastel assortment. I did check. These are actually on the clearance rack right now for under $4. And you get all these colors. Now we do have a new pastel assortment available. I think a couple of these may be retired colors, and that's why they changed it. Or maybe they just changed it up a bit. Because this is Daffodil Delight, Crushed Curry. I believe this one is Night of Navy, Gorgeous Grape. This is Mossy Meadow, Poppy Parade. This one here, I believe, is Granny Apple Green and Coastal Cabana. So I think all of these are still good colors, or I should say current colors. Obviously, they're all good colors. And for under $4, that is a bargain on the clearance rack, right? So, all right. So the first step is we take our white gel pen and we just start making some white dots on here. Now I've got a little scrap here. to make sure my gel pen is running. And the other thing I learned in lots of playing was don't get your dots too close together. If you get them too close together, then everything just kind of blends. And you don't really see like separate lights. So I'd say leave your dots probably a half an inch. You maybe could go a little closer than that, but I'd leave them at least a half an inch apart. And you're just going to randomly put them here on your tree. Now you need to let this gel pen dry. It doesn't take long, but while I let it dry, I'm going to go ahead and put it on my Blackberry Bliss too. I think you'll be able to see probably a little bit better because this is definitely much darker color than the old olive. I'm not sure how the old olive will turn out. The reason I want to use old olive is I have a color challenge for my coffee club. We meet once a month on Zoom, and we have a challenge for each month. And when we get together, then we each make, of course, cards with that challenge, and then we share those cards. And it's so much fun because everybody's card is totally different. So this month we have a color challenge, and Old Olive, Blackberry Bliss, and Moody Mauve are our colors. So I really wanted to try to use the Old Olive. So we'll see how it turns out. Okay, I'm going to set that one to dry to make sure the gel is dry. It doesn't take long, but you just do want to make sure your gel pen has dried. So now I'm going to scrape some colors from my soft pastels on here. Make sure I get this in frame so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool, and I use this little flat spatula side to scrape colors off. Now you can use like a knife, whatever you have. You just need something to scrape the colors off. And let's go out. Crushed curry is a little bit more intense, so let's just use some of that. Try the other side. I think I've been scraping here. There we go. And I just want a little pile of this. Obviously, these trees are small. It's not going to require a huge amount, but you want enough to be able to pick up the color. So there's the crushed curry. Let's have some purple Christmas lights. Why not? And I'm scraping this onto my silicone mat, basically so I just don't make a huge mess. I do tend to make messes, but if I can keep them a little bit smaller, I like to. This is Poppy Parade, so I'm going to get a little of this for some red lights, and some Granny Apple Green for some green lights. Now I chose not to use the Mountain Moss or the Night of Navy. It's a little on the dark side. So I'm just picking the lighter colors. And this one is Coastal Cabana. So we'll get a little bit of that. Okay, that should be enough. So we will set those aside. And now I'm going to use a Q-tip to pick up these colors. And let's go ahead and start with this Old Olive one, because I'm curious how it's going to show. The Granny Apple Green may not show much, but you want it, it's just a standard dry Q-tip. You want to pick up color on your Q-tip, and you're going to take it and put it on a red dot, and then just kind of rub in a small circle. And you want to rub reasonably hard because you want to get those colors into your cardstock. Okay. Now it'd be nice if these were maybe Q-tips were a little sturdier, because if you push too hard, you do bend. And one color, you can use each side of the Q-tip. So, but I just try to keep one color per Q-tip. Just if you mix them, it doesn't work very well. I did learn that. So we're going to add some of this crushed curry. We'll get some little yellow lights on here. This isn't too bad. I'm actually kind of able to see this pretty well. Hopefully you can see it. I know it's a small tree. I'm going to use some purple. We'll get a couple little purple lights. You can use any colors you want. I experimented with using all the same colors, different colors. And now let's add some of this Coastal Cabana. And I'm just putting it on that white dot and rubbing fairly hard to kind of rub it into the cardstock. So there's our first tree, and that showed up better on the old olive than I thought. Now we want to blow this off. Just kind of give it a huff. And there is our glowing lights trees. You can see the white behind it, which would be the light of your little bulb, and then the glow around it creates just a little colorful glow. So let's go ahead and do this one as well. I'll use my same ones here. So here's my Coastal Cabana. And like I said, you want to pick up a fair amount. Oops, I stuck that in the yellow. We do not want that, so we'll just flip it over. It's kind of like two sides to every paper. There's two sides to every Q-tip. Right? Okay, there's our blue. Now this was yellow, so let's go ahead and add some yellow lights. And a little yellow one down here. All right, and how about some red lights with Poppy Parade? Are you a multicolored light person, or do you like all the same colors? I tend to, on my Christmas tree, I tend to like all white lights. I have more than one tree, and I usually have one that is multicolored, but the rest are all white lights. I don't know why, I just like it. But I'll be honest, on this particular technique, I did find I liked the multicolor a little bit better. Maybe it just needed some color. And I do have a sample that shows you where they are all one color, so I'll show you that too. So I'm going to blow this off. And there's the blackberry bliss tree. And here's the old olive tree. So I think actually I can see it on old olive. There's enough color there to be able to see the light. So let's go ahead and put that on the card, and then move this little messy silicone sheet out of the way. And let's bring in, I have a partially started card here. All I have to do is add the trees. So I am going to add this one. Where's my glue? I'm going to add this one directly to the card front. Now, one thing I would like to do before I add glue is these trees do have little cutouts. And so if I just kind of fluff them a little bit, just sticking my fingernail under there and flipping up those little tabs, it just gives them a little bit more dimension. Some of them are too small to kind of do that with without fearing I'm going to rip something. So we'll just bend a few of them up. And I don't know how well you can see that or not. These trees are small. My hands and my fingers are big. So you're probably not seeing it real well. But in person, whoever gets this card will be able to see it. So that gives us a little bit more dimension when we pop those up, right? So now when I put my glue on, I'm going to be careful not to put it in those areas where I have, I'm going to bring this so I don't get glue on my paper. This is not the time to have your glue push. You don't want a lot. So just add a little here and there. It doesn't need a lot. Pretty small little tree. At the top. So I think I'm going to stick this down here. So it's just kind of to the right of that tree a little bit. And we'll stick that down. There we go. And this one I'm going to fluff it a bit. The ones on the bottom, the little cuts on the bottom are larger, so it's easier to fluff. Once you get about 2/3 of the way to the top, those little cuts are pretty small. And difficult to fold up, so we just leave those. All right, now I'm going to add some, this one I want to put on with dimensionals. So here's my scissors. I have little dimensionals, but you can see even little dimensionals are basically going to be a little bit too big for this tree. So I'm just taking the small ones and cutting them in half and putting them on the back. Where did that go? There it is. And you got to find a fairly large spot to kind of stick them, because there's not a lot of room, I'll be honest. And put this one right up here on the top. And do I have room for one more someplace? Maybe right about here. And I'll just refresh my little pops there and take these backings off. Oops! The whole dimensional came off. I guess that wasn't stuck down very good. Well, they want to stick to my fingers, but they don't want to stick to the cardstock. Okay. even the backing wants to stick to my finger. I have glue on my finger. So I'm going to get these off from here. I should flip my take your pick tool to the pick side, but I'll just make do. And I will add that just to the left of this tree. And there we go. So I don't know. It's very similar to the one I did with the Mossy Meadow. I do think I prefer the darker Mossy Meadow one. What about you? Do you have a preference? But this one works for my color challenge card. So that's another job I can cross off my list. So there are those two cards. And then let me show you the other two cards that I made. Step out of the way here. Like I said, I had better luck with cards that were not stamped. So there's this Grassy Grove stamp set in dies, and it has in it this kind of like a canopy of trees. So I thought I'll give this a try. And I used this with black cardstock. And here's my completed card. I kept everything, I kept the deer, which are also in those dies. And so I used a little bit of the One Horse Open Sleigh designer paper behind it. And then for the lights up in the trees, the glowing lights, I used, of course, my white gel pen, and then I made them all the same color, and I used the Coastal Cabana because I really just kind of wanted the white lights up in the tree. One thing I did not try because I didn't have any was I thought about using some white chalk instead of a pastel to see if that would give me a little bit more of a white light. But I thought it turned out pretty, so This is just a get well card, and I already have somebody I need to send it to. So I figured another thing off my list. And then the last card, I made a wreath, and this wreath is made with the die set that coordinates with Nature's Prints. And the dies have this beautiful wreath in it. So what I did was I actually die cut 4 of these. I used adhesive paper or adhesive sheets, I think they're called, and I put it behind the mossy meadow. This is mossy meadow. And then I die cut 4 of them and glued them all together. And so that gave me some thickness rather than trying to figure out, like with that little tree I just did, where I could fit dimensionals to pop it up. And this was done with Poppy Parade, so it has red lights on there on my Christmas wreath. Okay. So those are the cards I have for you today. So let me go ahead and flip it back. I hope you liked that. I hope you felt like you learned a little something. It's not a technique that I would do always. I think it's great for Christmas cards because you can make the lights look like they are glowing. Another way to use it is if you have like an image of a house or a building that has windows, you can make it look like the windows in the home are, the lights are on. And I think if you had we had in the past, we had a die cut that was a street lamp, like an old fashioned street lamp. And I think it'd work well for that, where you would be able to turn on the light on the street lamp and give a little bit of, just a little pop. So it's kind of a fun technique to have in your back pocket to use once in a while. And I hope you found it interesting. I hope you'll give it a try. If you like the video, will you give me a thumbs up? I'd love to have you subscribe as well. Thank you to those that have been subscribing. I really appreciate you. I appreciate those that leave comments. It's always nice to get feedback and know somebody even saw the video, right? So have a great weekend and a great Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I am very thankful for all my stamping friends. I will not be here next week with a video. It is Thanksgiving Day, so I am going to take the day off. And I don't know exactly what I'll do, but I'm not going to make a video. I just decided. So I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. God bless you all. Thank you so much.